Shivananda Lahiri, Shloka number 71. Arudha bhakti guna kunchita bhava chapayuktaiः शिवस्मरण बाणगणैरमोघैः निर्जित्य किल्बिषरिपून् विजयी सुधीन्द्रः सानन्दमावहति सुस्थिरराजलक्ष्मीम्. अन्वय सुधीन्द्रः आरूढ़ भक्ति गुणकुंचित भाव चापयुक्तैः अमोघैः शिव स्मरण बाणगणैः किल्बिषरिपून् निर्जित्य विजयी सानन्दं सुस्थिर राजलक्ष्मीम् आवहति. This shloka is constructed in the vritta called Vasanta Tilaka. The technical definition of this meter is Ukta Vasanta Tilaka Tabhaja Jagau Gaha, which means one Tagana, one Bhagana, two Jagana and two Gurus. Totally, this is a chandas made up of 14 syllables in each quarter. In the previous shloka, Sri Shankara Bhagavad Pada said, I have the freedom to worship you, Lord Shiva, externally or internally because you always reside in my heart. Then in this verse he describes bhakti as the arrows with which one can gain Raja Lakshmi, which is moksha, and that is eternal. The word Raja is used to imply the meanings of king as well as that of a seeker or a scholar. The descriptions connect to both these words. The king kills his enemies and gains his kingdom Rajalakshmi back. The seeker gains the Lakshmi called moksha. Sudhindraha, one who is greatest among the learned, that is jnanis. In other words, one who is a seeker or a paramayogi. Arudha bhakti guna kunchita bhava chapa yuktaihi. Arudha, that which has been ascended or mounted. Bhakti, devotion, is the guna, that is the string tying the bow. By that string, kunchita means is bent. Bhava, meaning the form of internal thoughts. Then intellect is the chapa or the bow. By that bow, yuktaihi, that is with such a bow, it means a bow is lifted and held at the chest. It is slightly bent by the string tying it, and with such a mounted bowstring, amoghaihi, that which never becomes a waste, that is, it will always render a fruitful result. Shiva smarana bana ganaihi, contemplative thoughts about Paramashiva are the arrows. Ganaihi, with a bunch of such arrows. Kilbisha ripuna, kilbisha are the sins and they are ripuna, the enemies. Nirjitya, completely winning over such enemies. Vijayi, thus becoming victorious. Sanandam, with ananda or abounding with joy. Susthira Raja Lakshmi, the permanent state of Raja Lakshmi, the greatest wealth, avahati, one attains. The king lifts up the bow, ties it with a string and mounts it with appropriate arrows. Then he shoots them at the enemies in such a way that the arrows are not wasted. That is, each and every arrow shot kills some enemies. Thus he ensures that all the enemies are destroyed. Then he enjoys his victory by gaining his kingdom. Similarly, a scholar or a jnani or paramayogi, that is the seeker, with the string called bhakti, he orients his mind, connecting with intellectual thoughts. Then he uses the contemplative thoughts on Lord Paramashiva as the arrows so that the end or goal is certain to be gained. Further, With such thoughts of Paramashiva, he destroys all the sins and obtains the end called Sayujyam, that is moksha. Just as the king gained his kingdom, here the Paramayogi gains the kingdom called moksha. In this verse, let us look at the words Susthira Rajalakshmihi. Brahma, etc. are Susthira, means they are the most stable. Even to those great Brahma, etc., Paramashiva is the king, Raja. That Parameshwara's Lakshmi, Raja Lakshmi, means Sarupya Lakshmi. The Jnani or Paramayogi or the seeker gains this Sarupya Lakshmihi is the meaning. In other words, he gains Sayujyam with Paramashiva and enjoys a blissful state, Anandam. In this, bhakti is the most important sentiment. The word guna as a string causes the bow to bend. As a sentiment, it causes the mind to bend in compassion. This further leads to mounting of appropriate arrows so that they are not wasted. The king mounts arrows which are matchless. The seeker mounts arrows of Shivasmarana which are also purposeful in gaining moksha, the Raja Lakshmi. The king kills all the enemies, gaining permanent victory and rejoicing in obtaining his kingdom, Raja Lakshmi. Since no enemies are left behind, the Lakshmi of his kingdom is made to remain stable with him. Similarly, when we destroy all the sins which are impurities, then our mind is pure to gain moksha and rejoice in the moksha ananda. This is the essential meaning of this verse. Just standing in the presence of Ishvara and praying with folded palms is not the real meaning of bhakti. With long-standing commitment, dedication, genuinely seeking oneness with Ishvara, and in the process dropping one's ego completely and surrendering the mind to Ishvara, thus uplifting it to the realm of consciousness, is the meaning of devotion or bhakti. In other words, a sustained effort by the devotee which will result in bringing oneness of the devotee, devotion and the devoted. That is, the effort or sadhana which results in a non-separateness of bhakta, bhakti and Bhagavan is the highest form of devotion. Explanation for this verse is concluded. Shivananda Lahiri, verse number 72. Dhyananjanena samavekshya tamah pradesham bhitva mahabhalibhirishvara nama mantraihi divyashritam bhujagabhushanamudvahanti ye pada padmamihate shivate kritarthaha. Anvaya. He Shiva, dhyananjanena samavekshya mahabalibhihi ishvara nama mantraihi tamah pradesham bhitva ye divyashritam bhujagabhushanam te pada padmam udvahanti te kritarthaha. Similar to the earlier verse, this verse is also set in Vasanta Tilaka Vritta. Sri Shankara Bhagavad Pada explained through the previous verse that an intelligent person with a discriminatory mindset will tread the path of bhakti, purify his mind, neutralize all his sins, and finally gain the eternal state of liberation. In this verse, he says, with the means of dhyana, one will overcome ignorance pertaining to the truth of the self and make this human birth worth it. In other words, those who worship Paramashiva's lotus feet will render this journey in the human body purposeful and valuable. Hey Shiva, O the auspicious one Parameshwara, Dhyananjanena. Dhyana is meditation. Anjana means it is an application of some ointment which is, it is believed, if applied properly to the eyes. That is, there are some people who are specialized in this application. They know, and so if this is appropriately used, then one is said to gain the capacity to see far away objects, that is, those which are out of the usual range of sight, and then perceiving that. So here dhyana is the anjana. Now using this, samavekshya, seeing clearly. So here seeing clearly means with this special ointment of meditation, visualizing and understanding clearly that Lord Shiva's lotus feet is present within us. And then Mahabalibhihi, with very brave, strong. Here brave and strong means the devatas who protect all the varieties of treasure, making them happy in order to gain their blessings. That such a capacity to obtain their blessings is in the great offerings, that is Mahabalibhihi. Such great offerings called Ishvara Nama Mantraihi. The offerings are the innumerable names of Ishvara. In other words, the Lord's sacred names are the mantra. With that and other offerings in the ritual of worship. With these, Tamah Pradesham. Tamah Pradesham means normally a place which is enveloped in darkness. In this context, not being aware that Lord Shiva's lotus feet is within us, this is Ajnana, and this is the meaning of Tamas, darkness. Pradesham is such a place. Here such a place means it is this kind of thinking. In other words, ignorance about the presence of the Lord within us is the darkness, which is a barrier, and such a barrier, bhitva, breaking open, cutting open such a barrier, ye, those who, the devotees, whoever, divya shritam, also those lotus feet are resorted to by devatas, the divine celestials also. And then bhujaga bhushanam, one who adorns the serpents as ornaments. Te, that your pada padmam, lotus feet, iha, in this life itself, udvahanti, those who bring out or perceive and understand and then enjoy that experience. Te, they only are kritarthaha, the ones who have achieved the purpose of having gained this human life. With the means of meditation and divine contemplation, understanding that Lord Shiva's lotus feet is within us, then worshipping them with the greatest offerings called the mantras in the form of innumerable Lord's names, then in this way removing ignorance that Lord Shiva, who is sought by devatas also and is the one who adorns the serpents as ornaments, his lotus feet being understood and visualized by whoever, such a devotee is said to have attained the goal of human existence. Such a life is well lived. This is the essential meaning of this verse. Now, in this world, how some people apply some kind of a magical special ointment and find the treasure of wealth which is far away. Then, with great offerings, they please the divine celestials who are protecting that treasure, and then they obtain their blessings. further, they cut through all the barriers existing around that treasure, thus gaining complete hold over that treasure. With this, they rejoice. Similarly, the devotees, with the means of meditation and divine contemplation, cut through the barriers of ignorance and obtain a vision of Lord Shiva's lotus feet within themselves. As a result, enjoying being immersed in this Shivananda Lahari. Explanation for this verse is concluded. Shivananda Lahari, verse number 73. भूदारताम् उदवहद्यदपेक्षया श्रीभूदार एव किमतः सुमते लभस्व केदारमाकलितमुक्तिमहौषधीनां पादारविन्दभजनं परमेश्वरस्य. अन्वया, हे सुमते, यद अपेक्षया भूदार एव, that is Sri Bhoodarah eva Bhoodaratam Udavahat Kim Ataha Akalita Mukti Mahaushadhinam Kedaram Parameshwarasya Padaravinda Bhajanam Labhasva. This shloka is also constructed in Vasanta Tilaka Vritta. Through the means of dhyana, one can obtain the vision of Parameshwara's lotus feet, said Sri Shankara in the previous verse. How very important and significant it is to worship Parameshwara's lotus feet is described in this verse. He Sumate. Mati means buddhi or intellect. So Sri Shankara is addressing the intelligent mind. O you, the good mind, yad apekshaya, with which hope, that is, with the hope to gain a vision of Parameshwara's lotus feet, Shri Bhudaraha eva. Dara means patni or wife, and Shri is Lakshmi, Bhu is Bhudevi. So, that great Vishnu himself, that is, he is made great because he is the husband of Shri Devi and Bhudevi, who are themselves goddesses. So, that great Vishnu himself, Bhudaratam. Here, Bhudara means a hog, a form of pig, or a boar, also known as Varaha. So, that great Vishnu took the form of a boar. Udavahat Kim. Did he take that form or what? So, what can be said about the others? Ataha, that's why Akalita Mukti Mahaushadhinam. In this world, 4 types of mukti, that is liberation, are sought for, and they are very significant. That is Sarupya, Samipya, Salokya, Sayujya. These are the 4 forms of mukti which are called Aushadhi, the medicinal plants, and for these plants to grow well, Kedaram, like a very well ploughed and fertile field, Parameshwarasya is that Lord Parameshwara's Padara Vinda Bhajanam, worshipping and serving the lotus feet of. Labhasva, O mind, you may obtain that. Shri Devi and Bhudevi are goddesses of all forms of wealth. This is known to all. Now, such great goddesses, their husband is Vishnu, and he himself, in the hope of wishing to see Parameshwara's lotus feet, took the form of a boar, Varaha. So, what can be said about all the other devatas, etc.? In other words, the one who is himself worshipped by many, that great Vishnu, had the desire to gain a vision of Lord Shiva's lotus feet. and for that he incarnated as a boar, Varaha. This only points out or makes it known to us that Lord Paramashiva is so great. So, to serve and worship that great Paramashiva's lotus feet is the right thing to do in life, says Sri Shankara Bhagavatpada in this verse. Now, this description which is given in this verse has the allusion to the Pauranika story of Brahma and Vishnu, which was narrated earlier. However, I will make a quick, brief recall of that story. When Vishnu and Brahma wanted to know who is greater than the other, Paramashiva appeared as a flame, that is a stick of flame, and then two of them tried to find the base and the tip of the flame. For that purpose, Brahma took the form of Hamsa, swan, and Vishnu took the form of a boar, Varaha. Such a great Vishnu who himself had the desire to see that Lord Parameshwara's lotus feet says that it is only to our great benefit if we also worship that lotus feet of Paramashiva. So, our mind is asked to dwell on that great Parameshwara's lotus feet. In this verse, Sri Shankara has very significantly described those lotus feet as a fertile field, Kedara, in which medicinal herbs will be grown. And that too, what kind of medicinal herbs? The ultimate purpose of everyone's life, liberation, in the form of Sarupya, Samipya, Salokya, Sayujya. So when we hope to attain that liberation, then worshipping Lord Shiva's lotus feet is the only way. Then significance of the medicinal herbal plants was mentioned earlier also. That is, these plants yield the fruit once and then the mother plant withers away. For example, the plantain tree. So the words Mukti Maha Aushadhi implies such medicinal herbal plants, and through that it denotes Sarupya, Sayujya, Samipya and Salokya, which are the crops harvested in the fertile field of Parameshwara's lotus feet. Explanation for this verse is concluded here. Shivananda Lahiri, Shloka number 74. Asha Pasha Klesha Durvasanadi Bhedodyuktaihi Divyagandhairamandaihi Asha Shatikasya Padaravindam Chetaf Petim Vasitam Metanotu. Anvaya. Asha Shatikasya Padaravindam me Chetaf Petim Asha Pasha Klesha Durvasanadi Bheda Udyuktaihi Amandaihi Divya Gandhaihi Vasitam Tanotu. This shloka is constructed in the Chandas called Shalini. It has 11 syllables in each quarter. The technical characteristic of this vritta is Shalin Yukta Mtau Tagau Gobdhi Lokaihi. 1 Magana, 2 Taganas, then 2 Gurus. Pause is called Yati. In this Chandas, Yati is indicated by the words Abdhi and Loka. Abdhi means the oceans, Samudra. So popularly oceans are taken as 4. So 1 Yati is allowed after 4 syllables. Then loka means sapta lokaha, 7 worlds. So the next yati is allowed after 7 syllables. Totally 11 syllables in each quarter. This chandas is in samavritta, that is same number of syllables in each of the 4 quarters. In the previous shloka, Sri Shankara addressed the mind and asked it to remain focused on Parameshwara's lotus feet because it was sought even by the great Vishnu himself. Then, to make the mind fit for focusing on Parameshwara's lotus feet for a long time, he said that it should be kept clean by meditating on Parameshwara all the time. Further, what is the means with which the mind can be kept conditioned to remain with the thoughts on Parameshwara is described in this shloka. Asha Shati Kasya. Asha means the different directions, dik, and Shatika is a cloth. So, Asha Shati Kasya means one for whom the directions are the cloth, that is cloth in terms of apparel. So dik, the direction is ambaram, cloth for whom. Such a person is digambaraha. So we can understand asha shati kasya is another synonym for digambaraha. One who is digambaraha, that Parameshwara's padara vindam, feet is the lotus, such a lotus may in my chetaf petim, mind is a box. So in that my mind box, asha, pasha, klesha, durvasanadi bheda udyuktaihi. Asha is the desire which is so much that one does not know to say enough. In other words, absence of contentment. Such unsatiable desire is called pasha. It becomes a binding. In other words, unseverable sense of attachment binds us like a rope. So, this discontentment becomes the binding rope. Asha is pasha. That gives rise to klesha. Klesha means pain and sorrow. This klesha is of 5 types: avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, abhinivesha. Now we will see the meaning of these 5 in some detail. Avidya is not knowing the truth about one's self. That is, I am that Brahman, Aham Brahma Asmi. Lack of this knowledge, also known as Ajnana. In other words, ignorance about the knowledge of one's own self as the whole, the Brahman, Purnam Brahma. This is avidya. Then the next klesha is asmita, having the sense of doership, kartritva buddhihi. In other words, ego or ahankara, thinking I am this body, the doer of all actions, being connected with the body as the doer of everything. Then raga is a feeling of possessiveness over the object which one likes. It is to be understood that there is a difference in just liking something and being obsessed with or possessive over what is liked. Obsession and possessiveness is raga. Then dvesha is hatred towards what is disliked. Here also one must understand just disliking an object is different from hating the object disliked. So here dvesha means that hatred. Then abhinivesha means involving ourselves in wasteful activities. In other words, a displaced sense of duty. That is, lack of clarity over what is to be done, resulting in doing that which is actually unnecessary. So one's energy is wasted in unimportant, useless activities. Klishyante janaha iti kleshah. These 5 qualities known as klesha will give rise to sorrow and unhappiness. That is why they are all referred to as kleshaha. They will lead us into samsara, which means these are negative dispositions of the mind. Then durvasana means the negative impressions that are created in the mind. So asha, pasha, klesha, durvasanadi, these are bheda, are destroyed. These above mentioned are destroyed. These are mental conditions which must be removed. Udyuktaihi is bent upon removing these. In other words, being ready to engage in an activity which will remove these negative tendencies. Amandaihi, that means lots of, plenty of. Divya gandhaihi, with the divine fragrance. Vasitam, endowed. Tanotu, may it cause to bless me. Essentially, the structure of the prayer in this verse is, may the lotus feet of the Digambara Parameshwara reside in my mind always. When we place the lotus feet of Parameshwara in the box called our mind, it will emit matchless divine fragrance which will destroy all the bad smelling negative tendencies called asha, pasha, klesha, durvasana. So, may we fill this mind with thoughts of Parameshwara. In this verse, the mind has been illustrated as a box, because in any box, whatever object is placed, then the box will imbibe that nature. So, in the mind box, which now has bad smelling negative qualities, if we replace it with thoughts about Parameshwara's lotus feet, this mind box will emit divine fragrance. Then the word Digambara, which means the directions or the apparel worn by Parameshwara, implies the meaning that Parameshwara is omnipresent. He is everywhere, all pervading. Then how these desires and likes, asha, binds us is very beautifully explained in very simple words by a poet, Subhashitakara, as आशायाः ये दासाः ते दासाः सर्वलोकस्य आशा येषां दासी तेषां दासायते लोकः. It means those who are in the spell of desires and wants, they will become slaves to most people. In other words, such people can be bought and controlled easily. Sarvalokasya te dasaha. On the other hand, those who have desires under their control means they will not set out to fulfill each and every desire, but they will exercise a discriminatory outlook. And then to such people, the world is said to become their slave. Lokaha dasayate tesham. In other words, such people with self-control over desires, they cannot be influenced by anyone or anything in this world. Moreover, such individuals will be respected by the world. Thus, keeping asha, likes and desires in one's control helps to live a easy, unbound, free life. Explanation for this verse is concluded here. Shivananda Lahiri, Shloka number 75. Kalyaninam sarasachitra gatim savegam sarvengitagnyam anagham dhruvalakshanaಢ್ಯಂ चेतस्तुरंगम अधिरुह्य चरस्मरारे नेतः समस्त जगतां वृषभाधिरूढ़. अन्वय. हे वृषभाधिरूढ़, हे समस्त जगतां नेतः स्मरारे. कल्याणिनं सरसचित्रगतिं सवेगं सर्व इंगितज्ञं अनघं ध्रुवलक्षणाढ्यं मच्चेतस्तुरंगम अधिरुह्य चर. This shloka is constructed in Vasanta Tilaka Vritta. As we saw earlier, it has 14 syllables in each quarter. In the previous shloka, Sri Shankara Bhagavatpada prayed that may my mind be cleaned of all the negative impressions and filled with thoughts of Parameshwara's lotus feet. The same thing in this verse he describes in a different way. Vrishabhadhirudha. Vrishabha means the bull. Adhirudha means climbed onto. So, Vrishabhadhirudha means, O Lord, you who are mounted on the bull, which is your vehicle. Samasta Jagatam, for all the worlds. Netaha, you the Lord. Netaha means Nayakaha. Smarare, smara means Manmatha. Ari means Shatruhu. So, Smarare means, oh, the enemy of Manmatha, the Cupid. In other words, you, one who destroyed Cupid, Manmatha. Vrishabhadhirudha, Samasta Jagatam Netaha, Smarare. These are three words addressing Parameshwara. So, there are three Sambodhana Padams for Parameshwara used in this verse. Kalyaninam, one who is very auspicious. In other words, one who is endowed with the characteristics of Kalyana, auspiciousness. Sarasa Chitra Gatim, having a very pleasing and varied graceful gait. Savegam, moving very fast or having great speed. Sarva Ingitagnyam. Ingita means understanding the mind of, and Nyam is such a knower. So, Sarvengitagnyam means one who can perceive and understand the mind of the Lord seated on him to travel. Anagham, one without any sins. Dhruva Lakshanadhyam, endowed with very good positive characteristics which are stable also. Mat Chetas Turangam, the horse called my mind. Adhiruhya, having mounted. Chara, may you roam around the world. Here, mind has been described as the horse. All the characteristics that one will find in a horse is attributed to the mind, and then Shankara says, so this mind is in every which way very appropriate for you, Parameshwara, to remain. So, it's as though Sri Shankara says, O Parameshwara, leave your old vehicle, the bull, and climb on to my mind horse, because you are Samasta Jagatam Netaha, Lord of all the worlds. Therefore, you have to travel all around, and that travel you can do very happily on this my mind horse. He has used the word Turanga for horse, which means Turam Gachati iti Turangaha. Turagaha also is another synonym for Turangaha. Both words are correct. Turam Gachati means that which moves very fast. Then he has referred to Chetaha, the mind, as Turangaha. Lord Shiva's vehicle is normally the bull. Here Sri Shankara, by using the word Turangaha, implies that the bull is very slow. So, for one who is the Lord of all the worlds, Turangaha is the most appropriate vehicle for traveling. Then the other reason for choosing Turanga is it is Kalyaninam, an auspicious and beautiful vehicle. We know that normally around us we see that people do use a white horse in marriage processions to treat the groom with respect and grandeur. That is what we call as Bharat. Another reason for choosing Turanga is it has Sarasa Chitra Gati. Its gait is very graceful and it gives happiness to the onlooker's mind. Significantly, the movement of a horse is classified in 5 ways and described. That is, Askanditam, galloping at full speed, Dhauritakam, that is, trotting of the horse, then Rechitam, which is known as cantering of the horse. That is, it runs at a medium speed sometimes. Then also it looks beautiful. Then Valgitam, lifting its front body high up with its head slightly bent and then leaping forward, what is referred to as the spring of the horse. Then Pluta is running very fast in a straight line. These are the different movements, and these different movements are implied by the words Sarasa. Sarasa, beautiful, easily flowing, Chitra, variety or different forms of Gatihi, movement. So, beautiful, different movements of the horse. Then, the horse is said to have intuitive understanding of its owner who is riding it. So, Sri Shankara says, my mind also is intuitively connected to you, Ishvara. It is pure, clean and stable, sthira, that is Dhruva Lakshana. Now this word Dhruva Lakshana is significant. It is said that a horse is supposed to have certain characteristics like Rekha, Rupa, Avartana, etc. when it is to be chosen for a royal rider. These are known as Sthira Lakshana or Dhruva Lakshana, which must be present according to Ashwa Shastra. The same qualities are seen in the mind. Having discarded all the negative tendencies, the mind has a stable flow of clean thoughts on Parameshwara. Thus, by way of reasoning, Sri Shankara says, O Smarare, my mind has all the exemplary characteristics of a royal horse, therefore please remain in my mind. Explanation for this verse is concluded here.